want to see a video of me with Dan?
Yeah.
Or you want to see that?
Go ahead.
That is better
ahead, I'll show you
from
some.
1 month
I'll show
ago.
you some.
Oh my gosh. The truth finally comes out, doesn't it? I mean, Jasmine literally had sparkles in her eyes every time she spoke with or spoke about Dane. So I'm not really surprised by this. But what does surprise me is her sheer audacity. The audacity to verbally abuse Gino about his exes and then cheat on him with her own. It's mind-blowing.
I don't want to see Gino. I don't even want to be breathing the same oxygen. Like, this is it.
So, is this it? Are we finally free of this psychotic relationship? Well, before we find out where it all went so wrong, let's rewind back to the beginning where, for a change, it was actually going so right. So, when we last saw the pair, Jasmine and Gino were at odds. You see, after about 2 good days of not fighting and finally being able to orgasm, Gino jumped to the conclusion that they were ready to have kids. But Jasmine didn't think so. The thing is, Gino feels that without a child, his life would be incomplete. So where exactly does that leave their relationship? Well, having a spa day, it seems.
Earlier today, Gino and I have a very difficult conversation about me not being prepared to have a baby with him, even though he really wants that.
What the heck is this?
Close your eyes.
Look, I'll give Gino and Jasmine one thing. Ever since they've gone to couples therapy, they've been dealing with their issues a lot better. They even managed to navigate speaking with Gino's cousin and discussed having a child without either of them blowing up at each other, which for these two is progress. It's quite impressive. But the question is, can they keep it up?
Every time that you come, we have a hard time getting along. And then, after a certain period of time, we get along again. But then you leave and the same cycle repeats.
Now, Jasmine wants Gino just to stay in Panama with her, not to bother going back to the States. That is, until her visa gets approved. But that's a topic of conversation that Gino has no interest in going over again. It's the same conversation he's had a number of times. To get the visa, Gino needs to be working. He needs to work in the States. Jasmine knows this.
First, you said with the K1, 6 months. Now, then you said like 9 months. Maybe it has been 13 months.
Yeah, but we had the pandemic that we had to go through.
Now, we all know, of course, that Gino has no say in when the application will be approved. But it has got me thinking, I wonder whether he actually applied for it like he said he did. Like, I really wouldn't put it past him to have said he applied for it, but actually delayed it because he wasn't sure about his relationship. Of course, Jasmine has her own theory about what's going on.
I'm scared that Gino have made a mistake with our application. He insisted on doing it all by himself since he wanted to save money. He didn't want to hire a lawyer.
So, did Gino mess it up? Did he apply later than he told her? Or did he not apply at all? Well, only time will tell. But until the visa does get approved, Jasmine has a very expensive request of Gino.
Okay, if I'm not gonna have my man, will you then at least be willing to help me pay for this apartment until the K1 gets approved?
Ah yes, the luxury apartment that Gino's been paying for. The apartment that happens to be in the same building as her ex, Dane. Now, I'm not exactly sure what changed or when, because I was under the impression that Gino had already agreed to pay for her apartment until her visa came through. But I can only assume maybe he changed his mind when he learnt that Dane lived down the hall. But Jasmine is adamant that she wants to stay.
I know that he can afford it. So paying for the apartment until the visa comes through shouldn't be an issue.
Understandably, Gino isn't best pleased about having to shell out $3,000 a month to put her up next to her ex. So you get the impression that this discussion isn't really about the apartment. It's about what it represents. For Gino, it represents lies and deceit. But for Jasmine, her view is totally different. If he's gonna keep her waiting, if he refuses to hire a professional, well, she expects to see a grand big gesture of love.
Gino have had so many opportunities to show me that I am his priority. Hire an immigration lawyer for our K1 visa.
I mean, yeah, hiring an immigration attorney isn't the worst suggestion in the world, assuming, of course, that he has actually applied for a visa. It is what most people do in this situation, but I guess we know that Gino isn't most people. The thing is, just expecting Gino to continue paying for a ridiculously expensive apartment for an unknown period of time is unreasonable. It's not like Gino just wants to kick her out on the streets. He's still willing to pay for a nice apartment, but just one that's less expensive. One that doesn't have her ex living right next door. But for Jasmine, this simply isn't good enough. She demands that he pays for this apartment. The way that she's acting begins to annoy Gino.
You sound a little spoiled.
You know what, I've been so good to you.
Jasmine is spoiled. She measures Gino's love by how much he's willing to spend on her. Look, just because he doesn't want to spend unnecessarily, that doesn't mean that Jasmine is less of a priority to him. But unfortunately, that's the way she's taking it. She's comparing how frivolous he was with money before he met her to how tight he's being now.
You had money for sugar babies. You were paying $300 for dates.
No,
you
I
have
wasn't.
money for your ex. You took her
Yeah.
to Disney.
She-
You took her to Legoland.
You took her to Legoland, you I mean, Jasmine's just nuts, isn't she? Judging by how riled up she's getting, based on past experience, it's starting to look like it's only a matter of seconds before she loses all control.
You're a piece of trash.
I mean, you're
Because
trash. You want
she
to pay
was-
the
No.
most money. This is the most expensive place.
Get out of here.
And there she goes. We all knew that one session of couples therapy wasn't going to fix anything. So now all that frustration she's been bottling up for the last few days is about to explode out of her. The fact is, Gino not wanting to pay for her apartment is no valid reason for her to turn verbally abusive. Yet that's exactly what Jasmine does. She feels like she's been rejected, and that causes her to lose her
Don't be throwing.
You! You 100 times! No!
Right, so it's always a bloodbath when Jasmine loses control, and today is no different. The way that she reacts is absolutely not normal, right? Can we just all agree on that? Like, she's hypersensitive to rejection, and when she gets angry or upset, she seems to lose all control. To have such little control over your temper is frightening. In fact, this goes even further. This is abusive, period. And at this stage, Gino really needs to get out of this relationship.
Shit! Where the mother want you to die?
It's more than.
I don't want you here! Get out of my house!
Serious question, do you think Jasmine will ever watch this back and feel embarrassed? Or would she stand by her actions? Now, as far as I can understand, Jasmine's logic here is that because Gino was willing to spend money on his past relationships from before he even knew Jasmine, but he's now not willing to spend on a luxury apartment for her, well, that must mean that he doesn't love her as much as he loves his ex. But that's such a flawed, such an absurd way of thinking. And it just goes to prove that for her, love is directly correlated to the amount of money spent. Either way, she's really worked herself up into a temper. And in one final act of anger, she repeats what she did last season.
Gino!
I'm done with this.
Gosh, not the electric toothbrush. It's such a symbol of their love. And to think, Jasmine just throws it on the floor again. I mean, this relationship is an absolute joke at this point. Now, as Jasmine's anger eventually burns out, she's left crying dramatically, pathetically next to Gino on the couch. The poor man has no idea what to do.
Every time that I ask you for financial help, this is your reaction.
That is bull. How about for the last 2.5 years supporting you with money? And when are you going to give me credit for that?
Okay, look, so I understand that Jasmine lost her job because of Gino. I get that. And I'm not excusing that for a second. What he did was unforgivable. But ever since, Gino has supported her financially, and then some. He's given her a quality of life she couldn't have even imagined with her former teacher's salary.
It's just for filthy rich people in Panama.
Oh, really?
Those are my neighbors now.
So how can she claim that he hasn't supported her? When Gino questions how she's come to that conclusion, Jasmine immediately changes her approach.
I have to say goodbye to everything. Like, you don't understand that. And then you have this attitude with me, and you are like the only person I'm gonna have there. What if you treat me so badly there?
The only bad treatment, the only bad attitude we just saw came directly from Jasmine. So I don't really understand what she's going on about here. Gino is in a no-win situation in this fight. Firstly, because Jasmine's obviously not in a clear state of mind, and secondly, she's just making things up. She's misremembering to try and make herself look like a victim.
I was giving you a massage and you started yelling at me.
Oh, God.
Luckily for us, we have video footage to verify what Jasmine's claiming. So let's just rewind back, shall we? There's Gino getting his massage. Jasmine asks for help with rent. Gino says he'll find her a nice place, but a more affordable place. Oh, that's the point where Jasmine tells him to say yes, but Gino says she's spoiled. But, oh, what's this? Jasmine's raising her voice about Legoland. So yeah, the results are in. It's conclusive. It wasn't Gino that started yelling at her, as she claimed. It was Jasmine who raised her voice first, and it was also Jasmine who crossed the line when she called him a piece of trash.
I just want to feel love, don't you understand? Sometimes when I do these things and when I need you to love me the most.
Jasmine's absolutely gaslighting Gino here. Not only did she just try to convince him that he's the one that started the fight with her, when that's simply not true, but here she is also making him feel like it's his failings that have caused her to be upset. She's trying to make out that if he made her feel loved, if he just loved her a bit more when she needed it, when she was being verbally abusive to him, then everything would have been okay. It's all your fault, Gino. But after everything that just happened, Gino is sticking to his guns. He is not going to cave.
I'm not paying $3,000 a month for a place. That is just the way it goes. This is what we have to do. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
We've got Jasmine acting like a toddler having a tantrum, and we've got Gino talking to her like she's a child. I think we've finally found Jasmine's maturity level. The truth is, Jasmine has unrealistic expectations of Gino, not just with the apartment, but in every aspect of his life.
I should be the most important person in Gino's life. More important than his family or anyone.
Now, just when you thought that things were bad, this is the point where everything ramps up a gear. So we're not entirely sure about the chronology of events here and when everything took place, but it's made to look like after the fight that we just saw about Jasmine's apartment, they've then been taken to a separate location to film with the camera crew, a confessional. Of course, for all we know, this may have actually been filmed days later. But at this confessional with the camera crew, Jasmine makes it clear that she expects to be Gino's #1 priority. More important than everything. More important than his money and more important than his family, she says. But Gino disagrees.
She's tied with my
No,
family.
I
right?
don't want to be tied with anyone. What am I doing with you? if I'm not the most important person in your life?
How dare she be tied with his supportive, tight-knit family? Jasmine takes this as an insult. She yet again loses her temper and starts berating Gino. Only this time, Gino has had enough. He's not willing to put up with this anymore. So when Jasmine insults him, he fires back.
Piece of idiot, how you gonna compare me to your family? What the heck
You don't
is
think
wrong?
my family's important? You got any
Not
brains in your head?
I'm not filming anymore.
Notice how it's okay for Jasmine to apparently cuss Gino out. She's allowed to yell at him. She's allowed to berate him, insult his family. But the minute that Gino takes the same energy and directs it at her, that's it. She's done with him. She demands to stop filming, she gets up, and then she calls both him and his family trash.
Family's trash.
But she's not done yet. Oh no. She's determined to hurt Gino as badly as she can.
I'm
Outta
gonna
here.
go and my ex
Right
that
there, bitch.
knows how to me. He's the
Yeah,
best
yourself.
man that I have ever had, and I'm going back to him.
This isn't the first time she's spoken like that about her ex, and she knows she's gonna get a reaction from Gino. She knows that's gonna hurt his feelings. Dane is the most important man in my life, she taunts Gino. And Gino snaps. Go f yourself, Gino says. To which Jasmine responds,
You wanna see a video of me with Dan?
Yeah.
Or you wanna see that?
Go ahead.
That is pretty
Go ahead, I'll show you
from
some.
1 month
I'll show
ago.
you some.
oh my gosh. Jasmine has just admitted to cheating on Gino. After denying it all season, she's finally snapped and she's offering to show Gino the sex tape. I mean, what more proof do you need? But just in case there's any ambiguity or uncertainty, she goes one step further to swear to God that it's true.
I swear to God that it is
Good,
true.
good. Whore.
And as Jasmine storms out into the street and Gino just sits there trying to digest what just happened, Jasmine makes it clear that, in her mind at least, she still sees Gino as the guilty party here. This is all his fault. He's the bad guy. And at this point, honestly, I'm at a loss for how Jasmine's brain works.
I don't want to see Gino. I don't even want to be breathing the same oxygen. Like, this is it.
All I can think as I watch this is thank God that Jasmine isn't pregnant with Gino's child. He was so wrong for wanting that in this relationship. In fact, he was so wrong for wanting this relationship at all. Hopefully, this is a straw that breaks the camel's back. Hopefully, he really didn't apply for that visa.